This video is part of a series where I'm looking at background animations using After Effects' built-in plugins and effects. Let's have a look at how we could put this animation together by creating a new project. In this animation we're using the gradient ramp and also the motion tile plugins. I'm going to start by making a new composition to work in. HDTV 10 seconds long. Click OK. I probably should give it a name. And inside that composition I'm going to add a new solid so I can apply a plugin to it. And this one's going to be our ramp. And the ramp effect is a way that we can generate gradients in After Effects. I'm going to search for it in my effects and presets search bar, ramp, gradient ramp. I'm going to drag that onto my asset there. By default it's black to white and it's linear, so I can flip that around. I can swap those colors like so, and I can alter those colors, so I can use these color pickers to pick colors that will be appropriate. And been working with kind of blues, so something like that is looking okay to me. So see, you can click and drag the center points or the starting points for each of those colors. So if I grab that and move that around, you can see that I'm altering the gradient, and I can do that with the darker color as well. So that's pretty good, and both of those kind of coordinates are keyframeable, so you can imagine that just with the ramp effect we can create animated background effects, which I think is quite versatile. We're going to create another layer, and I'm going to incorporate some of the motion tile plugin over the top of this. I might just offset the ramp a little bit like so. It's looking good. All right, let's make a new. Okay, to start with, I'm going to make a new composition because I'm going to need a new asset to motion tile, and I'm going to make a small little composition of 200 by 200 pixels, and we'll keep it at 10 seconds long. So here we go. We've got a smaller composition. I'm just going to create a circle or an ellipse inside my composition as a starting point. You can see that my anchor point is not really aligned there. If I hold Command down and double click on the pan behind tool, I can align those two elements together, and then with the align panel I can set that to align to the composition, and I can arrange that shape layer right to the middle of that composition there. So I'm not going to do anything further to that at the moment. I'm going to go back out to my project, and I might give this composition a name. And I'm going to pop that inside of that, that background that we're working on here. So you can see we've got one dot here, and we want to duplicate that a lot of different times. So we're going to use the motion tile plugin, and there it is there under stylize. So I'm going to drag that onto my composition. And then we're going to change the output width. I think it's the output width, yeah. I'm going to change the output width and open that up to about, I don't know, 2000. I want it to extend a bit further beyond the border there. And I'm also going to extend the height. And so that's looking pretty good. So we've duplicated, made a grid out of that first, well, our pre-existing dot. So we can make some alterations to the phase of that. So that's one thing that's keyframeable that we could alter, so we could get more of that kind of brick pattern, I suppose, by adjusting the phase there. Now, changing the center, we can keyframe the center to create kind of some movement of that background. And so I'm going to go to frame 1 and I'll find that effect parameter that I want to keyframe, which is the tile center. So I'm going to create keyframe at 0, move all the way through to 10, and add another keyframe there. And I'm going to add. I created the original composition is 200 pixels across. So if I move the center of the tile 200 pixels across, I should be able to kind of have a seamless loop. So I'm going to actually, first of all, I might start with my first keyframe being set right to 0. That might help me out a bit. And then my second keyframe, if I double click on that, I'm going to change that to increments of 200, so 800, and on the Y as well, I'm going to give it 800 pixels as well, and go OK. So now you can see that our background is moving kind of in a horizontal direction, and I might just render that to see how that's looking and to see how that loop works or ends up. Looking okay. There's a little jump right at the end, and I think I just got to adjust that keyframe over one frame. I think that'll be a bit smoother for us. Just okay, I think that's looking pretty good. Maybe I shouldn't have added that keyframe. Oh no, that's looking smooth. Very good. So to take this a little bit further, a couple of things that I could do is I could go into the dot, because I've pre-composed that that element there. I could go into the dot animation and I could add some further animation in here. So for example, I could I could do all sorts of things, but I might just add a quick bit of scale, drop that down, and I'll copy and paste these keyframes along the timeline. Like so. So we've got just a little bit of animation happening there, and then when I go out to our main composition, along with it moving along, it'll also have that kind of nested animation in there, which is pretty good. What else might we do? I think it needs to just drop down in opacity a little bit to make it not quite as obvious. I'm going to add a little bit of three-dimensionality to finish this off. So I'm going to add click on the three-dimensional icon there to make it a 3D layer, and then I can adjust the rotation to give it a bit of kind of depth, I suppose. Something like that, and I might tilt it a little bit. So you can see there that I've got a few of those dots that are kind of cutting off. So I might just go back into our height, output height, and add a little bit more space there. And let's have a look at how that's looking. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. Got another background animation here. We're using two effects. Simply the gradient ramp, which can be animated on its own, but we're also adding the motion tile effect to a small comp that we've nested, and creating that replication of that comp, creating that pattern.